Hi guys, welcome to another episode of GreenAnimate. My name is Amit, and today we would have another guest who would be talking about the same issues on sustainability and sustainable living and how that is involved as a part of study and a domain. Sustainability as a topic of discussion is obviously a much needed one that we need to focus on. And it is not only important to involve professionals, but also students from various fields and disciplines into this topic. So, without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce our guest. He is currently studying comparative literature and is also a student of journalism. At the same time, he's also a musician in the band called Kapala. Hello, Boidurjya.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're perfectly audible, brother. How
Okay,
are you?
okay. I am not fine because pandemic, and I've been in my house for like 2 weeks now because the apartment just below me has a COVID case. It's
Okay,
necessary, but it's tiring.
okay. So pretty serious then in that case, if in the same apartment you have
Uh,
COVID patients or positive people.
yeah, we have two COVID positive people.
Wow.
Both are recovering now. Both work in hospitals, so you can actually see a trend in how
Well,
healthcare professionals are the ones
yeah,
getting affected most. So yeah. So,
it's a
uh,
still risk you have to stay with. But I wish you that full safety and you and your family both to be safe in this situation and come out of it on the other end fit and fine.
like if we can manage the boredom, we can manage anything. Uh,
Yeah.
so today I would like to begin with what has become my uh, first love now, and that is literature. It was always my first love, but I kind of ignored it for a while and did some journalism, which is not bad, but of course.
Mhm.
So So, when talking about sustainability, I would like to quote the Brundtland report that humanity has the ability to make development sustainable to ensure that it meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Basically, so how does literature come into that? I mean, a lot has been talk. Been a lot of talk about science and sustainability and politics of sustainability, which is, of course, like both are very important topics. Like you can't run a windmill without scientific approach. But how do you see that windmill? Right? How do you see that windmill? Do you see that windmill as just an outcome of logical thinking or a scientific study, or do you see that as a cultural artifact? So, so what Margaret Atwood kind of wrote, uh, I say kind of because she didn't actually write the exact words. So, what she meant was sustainability does not result from the adaptation of humans to nature, but from cultural attempts to adapt human nature to the imperatives of survival posed by the expansion of the human species. Now, what does this mean? It means that human beings cannot be trusted for their own sustainability because of their nature. If we take only the scientific approach, only the logical approach, or only the political approach, or only the financial approach, though financially sustainability would mean a better choice, but we do not run on a utopian finance system. We run on more of a profit-based finance system. Let's not pretend it's anything else, because it
Of
is
course.
what it is. So, yeah. So I would like to tell you a story first. The story is of the watermill. So, of course, in India, we are not very familiar with the watermill. It's not per se in our folk mythology or cultural memory. But I digress a little bit. So, what is the water? The watermill basically. was replaced and can be seen as a very ancient form of irrigation, of grinding wheat. But what do we see here? What is the literature coming to this? So what the in contrast to the wind, which is unpredictable, water is something that we have more control over, that we can
You can
see as
handle
something
easily.
that, yeah, that we can see as something, excuse me, that we can see as something that we have more, that is more cooperative, that is more in line with human imagination and everything. And within this water mill, and all around this water mill, grew civilization. And see, the watermill in various times, let's say from the 1700s to 1800s, before it was like a steam powered and the industrial revolution took place and everything. So the watermill was actually a nexus. Uh, it was a place from which the peasant derived the power to irrigate their lands, and the merchants derived the power to trade for corn, and of course the higher authorities to collect taxes because that's what they do. That's what they were always doing. But so this watermill, the watermill we see in various iterations in literature. A very funny one is from the first novel, Don Quixote. So Don Quixote sees like three watermills, and we see three watermills. Any sane person would see three watermills, but Don Quixote actually sees three giants, and he charges towards the watermills, and he, gets a concussion. So it's like so
The braveries, the brave tales of Don Quixote.
yes, exactly. So, but what does this mean? Why is the watermill so important? The watermill is important because we are seeing the watermill as not only something that uses a specific type of wheel, a specific type of yield, a specific type of load bearing capacity. We're also seeing the watermill as a cultural artifact, very much a cultural artifact, which seeped into cultural imagination and gave rise to the irrigation of corn. So why is corn important? Well, corn is important because corn is one of the examples one of the first examples of poetry and sustainability. And so how that's the question. How? So so in 1815, corn prices were really high, and a lot of poets were in against this. Well, most poets were against all the injustices of the time. But I can
Mhm.
I would like to quote Keats here. So he wrote this little four lines. For what were all these country patriots for? To hunt and vote and raise the price of corn. But corn, like every other mortal thing, must fall. Kings, conquerors, and markets most of all. So we see a very close interaction with the concept of sustainability as we talked in the beginning, and Keats's idea of what corn is, like what corn represents, not what corn is. Well, we all know what corn is. We eat corn,
Yeah,
but what it
but what it represents,
represents in
stands
the
for.
human memory. Exactly, exactly. So literature has always been concerned with sustainability because and preserving the entire human experience as something that can be repeated and cherished in the future. Like today I'm seeing corn and tomorrow I see fields empty. So that would not be good for my poetry. So uh, yeah, literature is definitely connected with sustainability. Though I wouldn't say it's doing the same thing that science as maybe alternative energy resources are doing, but I would say it's doing a very important thing. What is that important thing? The important thing is that it is developing uh, the human condition, is developing the human uh, interaction with how we view certain objects, how we view certain objects in the light of sustainability, and also how we view the objects in culture and memory. Many objects, Rabindranath, the great fields and great farms and the open countryside that contributed much to his poetry, would not
Mhm.
would form a very important turning point for him in his life, in his literariness, because it is something that he eternalizes. And this eternalization of nature and the progression of nature with human cooperation, not with human exploitation, but cooperation to enjoy nature's gift and not take from it, so to speak, is definitely a concept of sustainability developed in literature. One moment.
That's interesting. Because this is important actually, because it's not only important to develop sustainable ideas but to communicate that, and literature, as you're saying, it plays an important role in communicating what sustainability is, or what that what is the importance of that. So that literature always should be towards more development, towards the development of more understanding among people.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So,
Now, you have been in this field. I mean, you were a student. You are definitely now experiencing and learning about a lot of new ideas, uh,
hmm,
and that also relates with not only literature but also communication. Being a
yeah,
student
yeah,
of journalism, now, how do you think is the best method to communicate the new concerns that we see related to sustainability? Because we all have been talking about sustainability, and as you say, like, if the literatures go back, dates back that far, then the conversations had been there for a long time,
hmm,
but
hmm, hmm,
the problems still exist, and there
hmm.
seems to be a lack of action towards it. So why do you think there is lack, and what can be done better to communicate sustainability?
Okay. So, first, in talking about how it can be communicated through media, we have to talk about the
Your voice
problems.
is it's not very audible right now.
Am I audible now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, okay. So, in talking about how we can communicate environmental problems to media, we have to talk about the problems of communicating environmental problems to media. So, what are the problems? The very, very, like the very obvious problem is sensationalization. Sensationalization. So, when do environmental issues gain predominance in modern media? It gains predominance only when it reaches a crisis point. The Amazon forests are burning down. There's a flood in Assam. Though even that has not been covered that much, very honestly. So sensationalization is how the media operates. Very uh, media functions as gatekeepers, right? So the uh, thing is, when certain issues, say a small, I have a factory here. I'm just hypothesizing. I don't
Mhm.
actually have a factory here. I have COVID cases here. So,
Here, COVID cases, yeah, not factory.
so,
But let's say you
so,
have a factory.
yeah. So the factory is producing emissions far above the regulated level, and many people are getting sick. So, what happens if this factory is operating? No one pays attention to it until there are protests, until there are talks on the major news channels about it, until there's possibly some violence, some at least some disagreements, strong disagreements. So that's how it seeps into the mainstream line of media itself. And that's when the conversation begins. But where does the conversation end? Does it end with the solution of the problem? No, it ends with the news value of the news. So the news value may be like 2 days, it may be 1 week, it may be 1 month. And during the news value time, it may also be that the problem does get solved. The government is pressured enough, the protests are strong enough, it may definitely be solved. But there's no long-term plan of producing the sustainable agenda to the unenlightened or they're unaware, who are fine to be unaware. That's not a problem. The problem is, what are the long-term goals of the media for sustainability? There is none. There is no long-term goal of media for sustainability. Yes, they cover issues on a case-by-case basis. It's mostly drama, conflict, negativity, and consequence. Those are the four words that operated to it. So how can this be countered? What are the possible cures of this? Well, one is a dedicated channel for the awareness of such things, for sustainable development, like GreenAnimate, uh, and others are long-term coverage of mainstream media houses of the issues and towards a definite end goal of sustainability. So, do we have this end goal of sustainability right now? Is there an Indian sustainability uh, index? Is there an Indian sustainability plan? And how can we get aware of it? We can get aware of it through the media, and we have to keep, and the media has to update us on what's happening, what we can do, and mostly not concentrate on drama, conflict, negativity, and consequence, but the long term goal, the human mission. That's how the media can do it. It's not impossible to do it. People are, yeah, people may be flawed, like Margaret Atwood wrote. People cannot be trusted for their own sustainability, but we have literature, we have art, we have media. Everything influences people, mm, uh, and and actually, it's better for them. You don't want to live in a world filled with greenhouse gases. You want to live in a world Keats wrote about, with fields, and Wordsworth wrote about daffodils, and you want to see wildlife on Earth, and you want to you want to go out and smell fresh air, not emissions. So it is very much a common human goal, but it is not the media goal. The media goal is definitely drama and everything I said, all the 4 points. So what can the media do? Is it the media's fault, or is it just what happens when you commercialize a media house? That answer is complicated because the then we have to go into economic discussion. How can a media house operate without
But
sensationalization?
then that's a whole new different topic
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah.
Get into that.
So so basically, what I'm trying to say is these things are very much connected. These things are not one step, two-step processes. They're like a circle. They come around each other. You want a media house to be sustainable. Fine. What sustainable means are they using? Is it profitable to them? No, it gets rejected out of the house. The We have mainstream media, we have political news, we have sports news, we have editorials, but none of them really address environmental issues. Yeah, you can see a spirituality post like a speaking tree or something. I used to there was this editorial called Speaking Tree in Times of India. Very spiritual, very nice, but the tree is dying. So, uh,
There's no
so
better way to put it across.
exactly. Yes, we can. Media can tell you about this is the newest uh, development in biotechnology. It's so exciting, but yeah, it doesn't tell you that you can make a bottle break.
Mhm.
It doesn't. You don't see a media announcement that today buy a metal straw. You don't see that. You don't see that. You see, yeah, today eat at KFC. Today help us make a new profit. Today fires in Amazon broke out, which you can do nothing about. But the first step in stopping fires, in stopping floods, and in stopping any environmental crisis is taking advantage of the pre-crisis period and the period where the crisis can be avoided. We are reacting to crisis, but we're not having a discussion where we're talking about a scenario where that crisis would not happen in the first place. What can we do about that?
Okay, Momo says, would you both speak a little louder So let's
Okay.
talk a little louder so our audiences can hear.
Okay. Is this loud? I
I
don't
hope
know.
so. For me, it is loud
I
enough.
hope so. Otherwise, I'll have to shout.
Let's not shout.
So, yeah. Um, Another important thing is how media frames social reality. So, like, the media can tell you the world is this way, and we all know how media is important for politics and how it influences people, and the world would be seen in that way. Today, we have many world leaders, in fact, saying global warming is a lie. It's not a lie. I mean, I've lived in this city for 26 years, and it's much hotter now than it was like 12 years ago.
Exactly.
I can feel it. It's not a problem which doesn't exist, but it's not a problem worth discussing because the world chooses to address other problems. It has many problems, of course, but this is also a problem worth discussing, and the discussion would be more relevant if the people knew how important it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah,
But yeah, there's this new, as you said, like it has to be there in the objectives of the media, and there has to be a level of sensationalization for this aspect.
yeah,
It has to be sensational or to be more effective, I guess, right? How would you say that is important? Because if we make a news too much sensational, then we end up taking away the importance of it or putting too much emphasis on it. So, isn't that misleading or misdirecting towards people?
yeah, definitely. Sensation as the basis of awareness cannot be a true awareness because you're aware of crisis, but you're not aware of what the long-term goal is, as you were saying, which goes into avoiding crisis. Like make bottle bricks today, avoid pollution tomorrow. That is one narrative. And the other is today there is smog and I'm not feeling so good. So these two narratives are very different, very but one is very sensational because yeah, today is smog, there's acid rain. It's a big thing, but how can we stop pollution to not do that? That's not very sensational, in fact. That's it's
Yeah.
uh, it's like how media cultivates reality.
But same time, I
Prime,
think it's also our intake or like what we perceive to be more important or what we engage with more. So there's also a part of the problem that lies with the public in that case.
yeah, definitely. The the it's a two-part problem. It's definitely a two-part problem. The problem is with people, and the problem is with the media. I would say the problem is not mutually exclusive at all. I would say today, let's not talk about television. Okay, let's talk about the phone. The phone. So today, I have this app. Everyone has this app, Swiggy. Everyone has Swiggy. Everyone orders through Swiggy. I'm not
That's right.
trying to say those who order through Swiggy are evil beings. No.
But most people,
So
yes, in
yeah,
general, yes.
it's fine to order through Swiggy. That's not the problem. The problem is, um, you order a milkshake through Swiggy, and yeah, and your priority is drinking that milkshake. Your priority is not reusing that plastic. What do you do with that plastic? You throw it out. You just do that, and you would be forgiven. I mean, even I've done that. Most people do that, and what else will you do with that plastic? Uh, what is the system? Where is the recycling bin for plastic? It's nowhere. It's nowhere. It's a two-part problem. The people. I mean, see, when I was smoking outside class one day, the teachers were very annoyed. Like not because I was smoking, because became dirty. So we installed a huge ashtray, and then we smoked outside class with an ashtray. And then the teachers were like, fine, we have an ashtray, so it can all be managed. So we have no ashtray. in our lives. We only have this huge recycle bin and trash heaps, and that's all we have. We need that ashtray where we can safely dispose or reuse our like waste and anything. In fact, use milk cartons, use juice cartons, use the milkshake packets, etc. So yeah,
Only ashtray it's much easier to install.
yeah,
For waste, it requires a landfill, and the
yeah,
problem with landfills are generally it is it's not a solution because, as you already know,
definitely
because
not,
it all
definitely not.
keeps on piling up in the landfill, so it never
Hmm, hmm,
goes
hmm.
down, but only increases and increases, and after some time, you need another landfill to be added to the existing landfill, so
Yeah,
it keeps on
you need a
recycling. So the
landfill.
best option is to recycle from the ashtray.
Hmm,
Then
hmm.
the cigarette butts or the cigarette filters, which, by the way, is also a
Exact.
big polluter. The
Definitely,
filters
definitely,
can be reused
definitely.
and can be made into something else. There are companies I hear that they make different kinds of things with the cigarette filters. So channeling them to recycling centers so that that
Absolutely.
can be used as a resource. That's important. Uh, you, apart from a student, you are also a musician,
Yeah, I
and
do. I do.
I think that you also use the music as a way of communication, right?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone uses music as to communicate something, something in their
Of
mind.
course, ideas and concepts. And
Yeah,
do you think that is a good method of communication?
yeah,
And
definitely.
apart from like journalism, why do you place art as a form of communication?
Oh, as I was saying about literature. Okay, let's not talk about literature for 1 second, and let's talk about Michael Jackson. He has a song called
Okay.
"Heal the World," and when he sings "Heal the World," there's like a giant earth, and people are saying "Heal the Earth," and everyone is like, "Yeah, we have to heal the Earth." So yeah, I'm not saying it's the best song on sustainability. I'm just saying you can understand how powerful the message can be. Not that I listen to them, but you have this man Gojira, and they talk
Yeah.
about the environment and everything. So yeah, I mean, totally with the like the with the with music, you can definitely bring forth your message, whatever it may be, and it can be a powerful medium. Um, can you like talk about sustainability in music and literature and make something very important? See, like what Keats wrote and what music is doing with the environment, music concerning the environment is doing is the same thing. Today, today we have music protesting the system, right? There are like thousands of examples. So I'm not taking any names. So and what Keats was saying with corn, it's basically the same thing. It's basically the same message. It's just in a different
This is not the
way.
corn, the band you're talking about, right?
No, 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 not that band. The actual corn, like with the kid, like the kings,
Okay, that's good.
conquerors kind of corn. Yeah, so the cornfields. So yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, if someone decides to use music as a message for uh, messages of environment, I think it's a good idea. uh, like if they're really passionate about the environment. Of course, the environment comes before civilization because without the environment, you don't have civilization. So definitely, it's like a twofold thing.
Exactly. True. Well, apart from what you just said, why do you think the current situation in terms of how students are engaged with the ideas of sustainability in the future? Do you think it is a positive thing, or do you think there's a huge point of concern, or do you think that things should go on just as it is?
I think that students, if properly introduced to these concepts, can respond very well to them. Uh, definitely, definitely. There is no
So there is hope.
question. Definitely. If you teach a student about this in a specific way without the sensationalization, with the long-term goals and what they can do, everybody wants to do something, but not take too much effort to do it. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to. Not everyone will has the predisposition to go out and clean stuff. But what can they do inside? right? What can they do in their own spare time? And I think that students can respond well, but depending on how the if we're talking about only what education can do, how the education is arranging their priorities. If the like I have been to colleges where the only thing they teach you is how to get a job, right? They're not dealing with what do you do for the society, what do you do for the environment, and stuff like that. On the other hand, you have in my time at Jadavpur, and which has been a great time. So I saw people cleaning up the campus. I saw people caring about the campus and really cleaning it up. I mean, that's pretty cool, and I think that shows. And with different priorities, you can do different things. Of course, that doesn't mean everyone will respond the same way, but uh, it can definitely have a certain impact, and that is where the no impact at all.
True. So, as you are from Jadavpur University, and I have also heard a lot of initiatives being taken within the campus. Students are being engaged, and I think yes, I also agree with you that there is hope that if students can be communicated with by explaining the exact nature of the problem without sensationalizing it, probably there is a better chance of having a better tomorrow. And
Definitely.
there's a lot of enthusiasm towards real causes. So if that can be honed, it is possible to make them aware of the situation and make them proactive towards their own actions,
Uh,
and have a
one
cleaner
example
environment.
One example would be the environmental studies courses we have these days in school, and also a compulsory in college. Though I wouldn't say that gives you an incredible sort of awareness, because those are not very priority courses and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's there. It's there. At least it's there. But well, I mean, it's there, but it doesn't reflect outside. So that's also a very opposite kind of situation.
Yeah, probably some changes are there needed at that front, making some practicals, probably
Yeah, yeah.
making applied sciences, probably it should become more like applied sciences than just theoretical understanding.
I would say, even if the theoretical exam was not there, if it was completely a practical thing, even that would be fine. It doesn't. You don't have to know everything about the environment to protect it. Like you don't have to know like which gas is coming out of like which factory, and that's of course a basic level knowledge is definitely a good thing. But yeah, a practical these courses mostly amount to theoretical uh, sort of MCQs and stuff like that. But given to more of a practical thing would be better, because it would be a fun experience. It would be a more hands-on experience, and you can learn by doing it, and that would stay in your memory. And you can actually do that for the environment.
Well, thank you so much, Boidurjya, for giving us your time and your thoughts about sustainability and about literature in sustainability. A lot of important insights. I really enjoyed, and I hope our viewers also enjoyed this. This will again go into our YouTube archives. And thank you once again for your time. You have a good day.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a
Bye
nice
bye.
day. Bye bye.
All right, guys. So this brings us to an end of this session. If you like our videos, please do like, subscribe, and share this with your friend. Uh, we want to reach out to as much as people we can with our communication, and that is the reason we are holding these sessions on awareness and communication through this channel of Green Ammo, which we call the GreenAnimate. So we will be again posting videos next week, going live next week. And till then, all of you have a good day. Bye bye.